Hey crafty queens, welcome back to my corner. Happy Thursday. So, you know how I told you I was in a crafting rut? Well, I thought, you know what? Let me go back to the basics. Let me go back to 2021 when I was real into blinging ducks and pins and tumblers and all that stuff. I really enjoyed doing that. But when I learned about junk journaling, I kind of just forgot about everything else and jumped into that. But yeah, I've been watching some videos and I decided that I want to bling. So one of my most watched videos, believe it or not, is, or should I say multiple most watched videos, are the series where I did how to rhinestone a rubber duck. I did 4 parts and every single one of those videos has the most views out of anything else on my channel. Can you believe that? So I guess people love blinging stuff too. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and do a pin, and I figured let me just turn on the camera and film me doing it and just show you what I know about blinging pins. So first of all, the pins that I use are the Papermate Ink Joy pins. They start off looking like this. Papermate Ink Joy 0.7. And what you do is you just take the pen apart, which I don't think I'm going to do it because I've already done this one. But you take the pen apart, you're going to have 4 pieces. You're going to have your ink, your tip, your clicker, and your whatever this little thing is. Anyways, you're going to have 4 parts. Take it apart, put those 4 parts in a container that you're not going to lose. Put it off to the side. Then, just like with anything, when we start to do anything bling, in order for the glue to adhere and set better, you want to always sand your base very, very well. So, as you can see, I've sanded mine. Now, some people take this part off and some people work around it. I take mine off, and to do that you just twist and twist and twist and it'll pop right off. You've also got this little part right here that has ridges, and you're going to want to sand that off, and you're going to want to sand the piece that's underneath here. So you want to get a pretty high grit sandpaper, I guess you could say, because you want the whole pen to be very, very smooth. So in order to start your project, you've got to start with that. You've got to sand, and then after you sand, you want to use alcohol. So I use these, the little alcohol prep pads. So I sand and sand and sand, and then I wipe it with alcohol. It doesn't look like I wiped it, but I did. And that's okay, because again, we're going to cover this with stones. Now, this little thing is just a pokey tool from Dollar Tree, but I use this as like a wand, I guess you could say, to hold my pen, because obviously you don't want to hold it like this while you're blinging it. It makes it, I mean, you could until you get down to that part, and then you could turn it this way. It's just a personal preference. I like using a little assistant, I guess you could say. So I'm just using that. Now, if you're doing just a base where you're just doing one color, such as this, then it doesn't matter if you start here or here, because it's not going to matter which way is upside down and which way is not. Now, if you're doing a pattern of some sort, which I am going to try to start getting into doing some patterns, then you are going to want to make sure that you're doing it right side up so that your pattern is correct. Because if you do it that way, when the person goes to use the pen, or sorry, if you do it this way, it'll be the right way. But if you do it this way, when they go to use the pen, it's not going to make sense. So anyway, and again, I'm going to preface this like I do every tutorial, craft with me type video that I do. I am not an expert. This is just something that I got into a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to get back into it, and I wanted to just kind of give you guys some tips and tricks if you want to start doing this. A lot of people make these pens and they do solid colors, they do patterns, they do all different kinds of stuff, and they sell really well. Lots of people love bling pens. Now, I have sold a few. However, that's not my sole purpose in doing this. I do it because I enjoy it. But anyway, yeah, so that's how you're going to start. Obviously, you're going to need a glue, which I use for my blinging. I use Liquid Fusion. There's many different types of glues out there. This one goes on clear and dries clear, and it's very heavy duty, and it holds. So that is my glue of choice. I just put it in this bottle with the precision tip. You're going to need rhinestones. These are from Amazon, and there's 3,000 pieces, and they're the 3mm or SS10 size. These are red AB, meaning Aurora Borealis, and I just, all of my rhinestones I've always gotten off Amazon. I know they're maybe not the best quality, but I always enjoy them. They work great for me. And then of course you're going to need a bling tool. So I have many different kinds of bling tools, but this one, I just keep going back to it. I really like it. I love the fact that you've got your stone picker here with the wax, and then you've got your tip on the other side so that you can make sure when you place your stone, then you can move it around with your little precision tip. So that is just how I like to do it. I do also use silicone mats when I'm rhinestoning, because even though I have tons of rhinestone trays, a lot of times I just like to put it on this mat because they are easy to flip around. So I just kind of do it like that. Now, let me just show you. This is another example of a rhinestone picker. This is a wax pencil that you sharpen. It's double-ended. You can use one of those. I also have this really nice one by Crystal Katana. And this one is my other favorite. So I'm either using this one or this one at all times. I just get in a groove and I want to do this one today. I want to do this one tomorrow. You know, it just depends on what mood I'm in. And then let me show you. There are many different types of ways to put your rhinestones, and these are just a couple that I got on Amazon. But these are also good because when you put your rhinestones in here, it also, when you shake it, it turns your rhinestones all the right side up. So I'm usually either using just my mat or using one of these. It's personal preference. It's whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. So I think that's it for what we're going to need to get started. So this is the top of your pen. This is the bottom of your pen where you're going to be writing. So I like to start with this end that is more symmetrical. This one kind of goes in a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying? It's easier to start up here and do your base row than it is to start down here. And when you get down here, a lot of people, what they do is they start out with their SS10 or 3mm stones, but then down here at this very bottom where it goes kind of flatter or more round, they use an even smaller stone so that it doesn't look incomplete, I guess you could say. So when I get started and I do this very tip-top row, I do it without this because when I get my stones on there, I'm going to do this. because I'm going to make sure that those stones are perfectly at the edge and even. Because if you want your stones to be even all the way down on your pin, you've got to make sure that base row is very even. So that is what I do first. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And of course, any questions or anything, leave them down in the comments for me. If you want, I can link the rhinestones from Amazon, and I might be able to link these bottles, but you can get these bottles a lot of different places, a lot of different craft places. But again, I do get majority of mine on Amazon. I can see if I can link these as well. I'll try. And the pins themselves, I got at like Walmart, I think. But you can also get them on Amazon. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And you don't need to go too crazy with your glue. Hold on, I might have to, it might be stopped up. You don't want to go too crazy with it, but you don't want to not put enough. So you kind of have to find a happy medium. Well, okay, hold on. I'm going to have to unstop this. Let me, I think this is going to be too thick. Sometimes it does this where I haven't used it in a while and it'll get a little bit stuck and you'll kind of have to work with it. And sometimes I even have to take this off and okay, so I'm going to take my glue stopper to a different glue, and I'm just going to use the little pin. Sorry, I'm going to use the little pin to just make sure I don't have anything blocking it. And it doesn't feel like it. Okay, so put that back over there. And let's try again. And there's another glue that I used to use called Gem Tack. That is a white glue that does dry clear, but I don't, I liked it okay, but then I had been hearing about Liquid Fusion and I just really wanted to try it. And so I bought some and I tried it and I like it. It's a very good glue. This thing is really giving me trouble today. Okay, there we go. So let's see. Is it bad lighting or what? I don't know if you guys, can you see where I started the little glue? Now this glue is pretty forgiving. It will give you a couple minutes to work with it. So I usually do a whole row. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to stay in frame, but also show you guys what I'm doing. Okay. So that's about how much glue I use for each row. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to place our first stone. And, oh, and sometimes, see, I use this to kind of move it where I want it. Sometimes my little picker tool becomes a little bit unsticky. And I just kind of use my fingernail to just kind of shave off a little bit of that wax. Just like that. And I'm just placing each stone right next to each other. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it takes 11 or 12 stones to go all the way around when you're using this size. Sometimes you will get a little bit of wax on your stone. Just wipe it off, and then when you're completely done with the pen, after it's cured for about 24 to 48 hours, you can go ahead and wash these pens with soap and water, and it'll take all that, any wax or glue, it'll take all that off. I'm so sorry I'm not staying in frame, guys. I'm trying. And as you can see, my row is kind of wonky. It's not all that straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pen, okay, I feel like now I'm a little too close. So I'm going to take my pen, there's my base row, I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to kind of use my pen, the tip of my picker, to push the stones down so that they are all even and flat. And I will also kind of use my fingers and just lightly press around just to make sure all the stones are stuck very well. Now I use a honeycomb pattern on my pens, and again, there's different patterns. Oops, I just knocked that stone loose. There are different patterns, but when I'm doing a solid color, I just always do a honeycomb pattern. And the honeycomb pattern is where you do 2 stones and then 1 underneath there in the middle of those 2 stones. I'll show you, but I'm gonna kind of let this sit for just a minute, just because I want to give it a minute to dry a little bit before I start working on the next row. So that is our first row. I don't know what's going on with the lighting. Maybe I need to turn my ring light off. Let me see. Or maybe I need to change the... trying to... Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start my next row, and we're gonna go right up underneath these stones on the first row. Some people do little dots, some people do just all the way around. It's again a personal preference. Yeah, I've actually had quite a few people reach out and ask me if I'm still making ducks, and I really haven't in a while. Like I said, I kind of get into one craft and then focus on that and then don't do another one for a while. So I'm going to take my first stone and go right up underneath these 2 stones. See that? Right up underneath. Okay, now same thing, right next to the other one, right up underneath the 2 above it. We're just going to do that all the way around. Okay, I feel like I'm going to need to kind of shave a little bit more off of there, because I feel like it's sticking more to my picker than my pen. Please forgive me for being out of frame so much. I'm really trying, guys. It's just when you're doing something so small and intricate, it's hard to... Okay, now it looks like my glue was starting to dry over here, so let's put a little bit more. When you're working with something so small and intricate, I want to show you guys up close, but at the same time, I'm also trying to see what I'm doing. Oops. Last stone on that row. And I'm just going to kind of use my pointy side just to kind of, just a very little bit of pressure just to make sure that all of the stones are up against the row above. Okay. Can you guys see that? So that's 2 rows right there. And again, we're just going to keep going all the way down. And then when we do our last row of the 3mm stones, it's going to be about here. So I'll have to see if I have any smaller red stones that I could put down here around this part. But let's go ahead and do one more row on camera. And then I will leave you guys to it and see if you guys have any questions or anything like that. Like I said, just leave them in the comments below. Not a professional, but I just do this for fun. They're fun little gifts to give too, especially to like teachers and people who work in offices that just want to have a cute blingy pin. All right, so that's about how much glue I do. Let's go ahead and start right up underneath those 2. Right up underneath the 2 above there. And I love this honeycomb pattern mainly because, come on, stone, why aren't you sticking? Mainly because with this, you don't have a bunch of space in between your stones. It looks more professional, in my opinion. When you have something that has a bunch of space in there, it almost looks incomplete. I really recommend getting you a pickup tool with a precision tip because it really helps to move and adjust those stones. Oops. And I just kind of look at it from different angles from time to time just to kind of make sure that everything's looking nice and even. Every once in a while you'll have a stone that'll kind of be tilted a little bit. Do you see that right there, how it's just a little bit tilted? I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, that happens sometimes, and I just take my finger and just kind of press it down. Uh-oh. Okay, now this happens sometimes where the stones just don't want to act right. See, I still feel like this one is not. Add some more glue just because these two stones are acting kind of silly. Okay. All right, so there is our first 3 rows of our bling on our Ink Joy gel pens, Papermate Ink Joy gel pens. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going all the way down, and so I'm not gonna do it on camera because I don't want to take all of y'all's time today. But yeah, so that's the start of it. And at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here just so that I have extra help. Makes it more stable for me. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my video. And if you want to see more stuff, I will continue to do a little series on blinging if that's what you guys want to see. So let me know. And hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a good weekend. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.